All right, everyone relax. You are back in the video store with me, Charlie Clausen. I'm joined once again by the Sultan of Cinema, the Pharaoh of the Flicks, Guy Davis.
It feels so very strange to be looking you in the face or in the flesh, according to Campbell, when you actually say that.
Yeah.
It feels both, I don't know, incredibly intimate.
Yes.
And also a little disconcerting.
This is the first time we have done the video store face to face, and
when we've been working the same shift.
Yeah, and we're working in these brand new digs. Like the team at Listener have done a fantastic job of making this show look more high class.
It feels like we are in the fanciest, richest new Video Easy in town.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, the video store I worked in, Movieland, which I don't think, I mean, that probably went out of business a long time ago, that franchise. But the video store I worked in was the equivalent of a mom and pop operation, in the sense that Movieland was not a blockbuster. They didn't have the same restrictions on what films they could rent out. So you'd get some of those darker, like Shocking Asia, and those kind of video nasties. Silent Night, Deadly Night, the one that was banned in Queensland.
What Albert Brooks in Drive called European.
European and just also trashy. I'm sure my boss also was occasionally doing trips to Southeast Asian countries and getting stuff that had been filmed off a cinema screen somewhere in Bangkok.
It was great when you found a video store like that, though, one that had sort of under-the-counter stuff. Have you seen the movie Censor? Do you know that one?
Censor, no.
It's an English movie, a couple of years old now, and it's sort of set during the video nasty period, and revolving around this young woman who's a censor who's like cutting video nasty. Like, no, this is obscene, we can't have it. But it's all about her mental deterioration. Sort of gets a bit repulsion, Roman Polanski-esque. But one of the central characters is running this seedy little video store, and they go and say, "You got that Evil Dead?" He pulls out a brown paper bag from under the counter. He's got all these dubious copies. I love that. We had a guy like that in Geelong,
right,
who would get stuff from the States, or hire you pirate copies of, say, True Romance. Before it had hit the cinemas or something. This is back when release dates would have like a 6-month window or something like that. But that video store was fantastic, and this video store is not like that. This is the
cleanest,
slick, corporate. There's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah.
But the mum and pop video store that you're talking about, they're kind of like...
One of the most disconcerting shifts I ever pulled at the video store was when we had an adult section, a small shelf. It wasn't behind a beaded curtain, but it was tucked away in the corner.
I was waiting for the words beaded curtain.
And I remember two foreign businessmen came into the store, and they hovered around the adult section, and then they made their selection, and they brought that up to me, which is not unusual. Mm-hmm. And they handed over their 2 adult movies. And I said, okay, and, put it through and charge them whatever it was. And then they said, so where can we watch this? They thought it was like a Club X where they could go into a booth.
They thought you were like on 42nd Street in Times Square.
Take your filth.
Take your filth elsewhere,
back to your hotel room.
This is a mum and pop establishment.
But this series of the video store is anything but filth, because we are going to be celebrating one of the greatest, if not the greatest, modern filmmaker of all time. When you look at the track record of Steven Spielberg, I didn't know this. I was looking up some trivia about Steven Spielberg. Did you know that he has made the highest grossing film of all time 3 times?
Oh my God. You'd think that would be James Cameron, but no. I mean, okay, so what are these titles? I'm guessing E.T. is one of them.
E.T. is one of them, Jurassic Park, and then, I mean, would Jaws have been the highest grossing film?
It may well have been, yeah.
I didn't fact check what those 3 films were, but James Cameron's done it twice.
Okay, but Spielberg still holds the crown. Still the GOAT.
Yeah, and not only that, but Oscar winner. And this particular episode of the video store, we're going to be focusing, because of the release of Disclosure Day, on the sci-fi oeuvre, or oeuvre.
I think you've hit every possible pronunciation, so one of those is going to be right.
The sci-fi egg of Steven Spielberg, particularly because when you think of Steven Spielberg, you think blockbuster, right? This is the guy who invented the modern blockbuster. And it is very interesting, having watched all these films in a row now, if you chart from Close Encounters through to Disclosure Day, the evolution of some of the things of Steven Spielberg, but then the tropes of Steven Spielberg, which is very much in force.
I think you get the artistic evolution, you get the evolution of an artist, you also get the evolution of a person as well. You get to see them at various stages of their life and how their personal life affects their professional life, or affects their art.
Yes.
And informs their art.
You very much see the Spielberg protagonist. which generally tends to be a family man
Sure.
who's put upon at home and then gets into extraordinary circumstances. And it's funny too, because I'm not great at reading subtext in films. That's why I have to go speak to people like you and read film literature to go, oh, that's what the film is about.
And that's when I have to go to the internet because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
And so you do get this sense that, yeah, he's definitely attracted to stories of ordinary men who are drawn into extraordinary circumstances. But then there is also this element of the metaphor of art, the metaphor of fantasy. And this is a guy who grew up obviously drawn to cinema and the idea of letting his imagination go wild. And that's what a lot of these films are about, is expanding your understanding of the world. So we're going to work chronologically. We discussed many ways. Should we rank the films? Should we rate them by classification? And look, there's a couple of exclusions to this. Jurassic Park, although that is technically
Science fiction.
sci-fi, it's not there. We're talking more aliens and hard-edge sci-fi.
Yeah. I mean, Jurassic Park is literally science fiction.
Yes.
Yeah, but does it involve aliens? No. And
And Kingdom of Crystal Skull shall be struck on the record. Neither adventure film nor sci-fi. Just depressing.
Neither fish nor fowl. That one, God only knows what Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is. Although I think in the wake of Dial of Destiny, people are looking at Kingdom of the Crystal Skull going, it's got some okay parts in it.
Oh, yeah. Is it getting a Star Wars prequel review?
Reappraisal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but certainly in terms of aliens, and it's something that has really been, Spielberg's been interested in for goodness knows how long. I mean, what, Close Encounters is his third feature film, I'm thinking?
Yes.
Yeah, Sugarland Express, Jaws, then Close Encounters.
And I guess Duel before that as well.
Which is a TV movie, and there's a bunch of TV stuff as well. One of which, I mean, because I think something we're going to be talking about when we talk about Spielberg's science fiction oeuvre is how prescient it is in a lot of ways. You know, whether you, I mean, Ready Player One, not so much. I mean, I think even when that came out, it was very, the whole message of, hey, kid, you might be spending a little too much time online was not exactly, breaking news. But you look at something like, say, AI, for instance, is probably the most. I mean, revisiting that movie, which I hadn't seen in a very long time.
Same.
For these podcast episodes, I was like, God, it's like he had a crystal ball. It's incredible. But one thing that he did early in his career was an episode of like an anthology TV series called The Name of the Game. And this episode was titled LA 2017, the wild future of 2017. But a lot of it is the climate has rendered the top of the planet uninhabitable, a lot of people living underground. But the most prescient seeming thing was the government has been disbanded and we've got corporate powers basically running everything now because they know what's best.
Yeah, oligarchs.
Oligarchs, essentially, yeah. And watching that like about a year ago, it was the first time I'd seen it, I'd gone, oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, but in terms of his appreciation for aliens and things like that, it's interesting looking at this, as you say, the chronology of his career and how he views the world through this prism of aliens, I guess, is how that changes over time as well. I find that really interesting.
And in the promotion of Disclosure Day, they seem to lean more heavily into Spielberg, the person, as opposed to the film itself, because it was like, this is the guy who basically started, the modern alien blockbuster, and these are his views on aliens now. And I was like, this is interesting, right? And then I saw the film, which we'll get to in episode 4, and I was like, oh, I understand why they focused more on the personality of Spielberg. But let's go back to where this all started, which is Close Encounters, 1977. Now, there was something interesting happening in the 70s, which you can speak to much better than I can on this, which is you had a generation of filmmakers who were taking traditionally trashy genres of films and turning them into prestige entertainment.
Sure.
You had Coppola with The Godfather, the gangster movie. You had Spielberg with Close Encounters doing the sort of trashy sci-fi film. It became a reinvention or a reimagining of what was disposable. I guess what happened in the last 15 years with superhero films.
Absolutely,
you had superhero. Like the Joker being turned into a prestige bit of entertainment, Oscar bait.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a great line from Roger Corman. I've probably said it on the video store plenty of times, but I think when he's
our table's not locked down.
This is why we should be in separate cities. Corman, of course, is the great B-movie producer who was notorious, shall we say, for seeing something that was popular and doing a lower budget, cheaper, nastier version of it, and breaking the profits that way. And I think when he said when he saw Jaws for the first time and saw how incredibly successful that was, it's like, oh, they're onto us.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're making their own version of sort of cheap and nasty movies, but doing it with high-end production values, a higher budget.
Yeah, The
name
Exorcist,
stuff.
Star Wars.
Absolutely, yeah. And yeah, I mean, you could say that Spielberg was doing that with Close Encounters as well. I think something that's really interesting about Close Encounters, though, is it's very much a product of its time as well, in terms of maybe a lack. This could be worldwide, but it's certainly a very American thing. A lack of faith in the system, or a deterioration of faith in the system of institutions. You can't trust the government.
Yes.
And you can't trust the people who are supposedly have your best interests at heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stuff is being hidden from you, or there is all manner of obfuscation and whatnot.
Yeah.
And yeah, that rewatching Close Encounters, which I hadn't seen in a very long time. It's one of those ones that sort of feels like it's just almost part of your DNA, or almost part of the cultural DNA at this point.
That is, especially with these earlier Spielberg films, that's the hard part, right? It's hard to view them now and disconnect the gigantic cultural influence they've had going forward, because so much of it has been parodied or has been copied or has been referenced that it's really hard to view it sort of objectively and be like, oh, the film on its own merits, because it's like Casablanca. Like, you don't have to have seen Casablanca to know what Casablanca is, woven into popular culture. And I felt the same way with Close Encounters. I was a bit too young. It came out the year I was born. So I was sort of more in the Indiana Jones era. And I remember I didn't see it till I was like a teenager. And I was already, in the 90s when I sort of was like, oh, this feels like I know every beat of this film because it's been so parodied in like The Goodies and things like that.
Well, it's like, say if you watched Halloween for the first time, John Carpenter's Halloween for the first time, after a diet of
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. Or, just stuff you'd find at the video store, cheap slasher movies you'd find at the video store. You might watch Halloween and go, okay, this feels kind of almost too familiar, but it's also the source code for everything that came beforehand. And Close Encounters is that in so many ways. Yeah, I mean, rewatching it, and I'd say it had been a good 10, maybe even 20 years since I'd last viewed it. It's like, oh, so much of this just feels instantly familiar. But then there was also a lot of it was like, I don't recall it breaking down that way or shaking out that way, but you're watching it with different eyes as well.
Yeah, and you're trying to imagine like what it would be like, because I saw your chat with Leonard Maltin where he was talking about like just the impact that this film had when people saw it. And you can see it, like, I mean, we should tell people who maybe haven't seen it. So it's basically three intersecting storylines. You have Roy, who's like an electrician or like a linesman.
Electrical engineer, I think. Yeah, something like that.
And so he's out in the desert one day and he has like an encounter with an alien spaceship. Then you have a single mother.
Yeah, Gillian.
Gillian with her child, who's like the most amazing actor. I've got his name right here. This kid is just like
Carrie Guffey.
Yes, Carrie Guffey.
Yeah.
And then you have the government storyline, which is like Francois Truffaut,
yeah,
playing like what is this, like a UFO investigator or government agent, some kind.
Yeah, I'm wondering about it's a little obscure, that whole part, whether this is a multinational kind of initiative,
the UN or something
that's operating very, very secretively.
Yeah, so you have these three disparate storylines, all based around the fact that these people, the government, obviously aware of aliens, they're on the hunt for the aliens, but then you have Roy and what's the mother's name, Gillian, who have their own experiences, and there are moments in the film which, like when they discover, the planes in the desert or the container ship, where you would be like, because that's the first time this concept of abductions and returns would have really been made mainstream, right? So
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think there was a bit of an undercurrent in the late '60s, early '70s. There's all that Chariots of the Gods kind of deal, where it's like, do you think Egyptians actually built these pyramids? I don't know, man. It's a bit of a slight to the Egyptians. But yeah, in terms of like movies, I think like the earlier version of this, and maybe the early science fiction version of this or sci-fi version of this, would be something like a B movie like Earth versus the Flying Saucers, essentially. And this, treats it with a little more depth, a little more seriousness, and a little more wonder. It's not dashed off. Because
Yeah.
the other thing about Spielberg is,
Well,
and
there's so much. Sorry, there's so much religious iconography to this, which is the
yeah,
difference. Because I think in the 50s and 60s, it was generally like just a bit lame or cheap. You know, it's like Star Trek. It's the benevolent alien with the giant rubber head or whatever.
yeah,
Whereas this feels much more operatic. I mean, there's literally like Roy has a conversion scene on the road to Damascus. Like he's
that's right.
literally on an empty road, bright light, and then he's a believer from then on. So
Mm,
and the way that people talk about Spielberg being he's the the director who does like awe and wonder,
yeah.
and this film is probably the best encapsulation of that. Those amazing slow dollies in on someone's
Mm.
face as they react to these lights in the sky. So by today's standard, it feels almost quaint, like, oh, some pretty
It,
lights. But I can imagine that in 1977, this would have been
I,
amazing.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, you can't underestimate what a seismic impact 77 had in terms of like you've got Star Wars and you've got Close Encounters. I mean, yeah, it seemed like the whole world was sci-fi mad.
Yeah.
And of course Star Wars was the phenomenon it was, and Close Encounters by comparison, at least to my recollection, and I'm very young at this stage, felt more mysterious and more strange and almost a little scary. I mean, it's
Yes.
got, again, I'm loath to use the word iconic, but I mean, you think about the poster alone of Close Encounters, which is just this open highway leading towards this horizon. There's this bright light emanating from the horizon. You're like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is going on here?
And
And
they literally have like a scene in it which feels like a horror movie when the kid gets abducted.
oh, sure,
That is
yeah,
that's 100% horror. Like,
yeah.
and it is funny because you do sort of reconcile with, oh, this is science fiction, but this is tropes of a completely different genre. And then you're like, but okay, logically, what are the aliens
Yeah,
doing? Why are they making the house shake and things
yeah.
flap up and down and lights? Like, what's going on? What are the mechanics of
I
the
know.
aliens doing this abduction?
They're not exactly engendering goodwill by
No.
rattling the shit out of Richard Dreyfuss's truck or rattling the shit out of
Gillian's
Melinda
house.
Dillon's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and abducting her kid. Although, yeah, again, it's like, did he go willingly? I mean, he seems like very excited to
Yeah.
go along. Are the aliens sort of pitching at a frequency that only he can understand? Who knows? Um, yeah, but that sense of awe and wonder that you're talking about with Spielberg's filmmaking, and how maybe it feels more vivid and almost more visceral
Mm.
at this particular stage. I mean, he's a young man when he's doing it, a relatively young man. I think he's probably still in his 20s.
Yeah.
Because how old was he when he made Jaws? He was like 27 or 28.
Yeah. He's still
He's
much the wonderkind.
probably still, yeah, probably just nudging 30 when he's making
I mean,
this.
it's pretty amazing too when you think about his career and like his first big hit, Jaws, was almost killed him. 100 days over budget, doubled the budget of initially what they wanted to spend. Then this film apparently was also as onerous, like big budget, but then the last 25 minutes was, I think he says it's the hardest editing he's ever had to do
Okay.
and bringing this film together. But you wonder if that was the sort of like, that was the fire that kind of, made him into the filmmaker he was going to become. Like he started off with two of the most challenging
Yeah,
kind of films, which is like, well, once you can do that,
yeah,
you're golden. You can do anything.
exactly. Yeah, and he's maybe recognized his limitations, but also, he knows when to stop short, but also I can go a little further. I can go a little further.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was going to say there's just the one thing that really struck me watching this film and then was franked in all the subsequent films I watched is I don't think there is any better director of child actors
There's not.
than Steven Spielberg. Like what he's able to get, and not only that, but like it sort of it gets weaker. The more rich and successful he gets, the more out of touch I think he gets with what domestic life is like. But in Close Encounters, it is one of the most accurate portrayals of what a cluttered, multi-child house looks like. And even the framing of all the domestic scenes where it just feels so claustrophobic and you can understand why Roy is so like keen to get out on the road. And Terry Garr is like, you couldn't have a better wife than Terry Garr. So lovely.
They do
and
her so
charming.
dirty in this movie,
Yeah,
though.
real
Yeah, I
bad.
mean, they really sort of stack the deck against Terry Garr's character from the get go.
Yeah.
I mean, admittedly, you are viewing it through Roy's eyes. I mean, you are present for this,
And he's obsessed.
for this incident that he has. But yeah, I mean, watching what he does, this obsession that he has, and then this image of Devil's Tower, this place where the alien landing is supposed to take place or whatever. and he doesn't understand it, but he just knows he's got this hook in his brain. He needs to express it in one way or another. What, making it out of the mashed potatoes, demolishing the whole neighborhood to, create this or not life size, but this huge model of it.
Yeah.
You can see how his wife and children would be frustrated and terrified.
Upset.
Absolutely.
That scene where he's building the tower out of the mashed potatoes and his son's crying is so moving.
It really is.
Like
isn't it? Yeah.
that could be a film. That could be a scene from any other like serious Oscar-winning drama. But the way he balances that with the childlike wonder is just it's so perfect. And it's interesting because a bit of trivia. Apparently, before Richard Dreyfuss was cast, he went to Steve McQueen and was very keen on, which I think brilliant. Like that, what a great bit of casting. But Steve McQueen said, "Look, I really like it and I'd love to do it, but I can't cry on camera," which I believe. And Spielberg said, "That's fine. I'll take the crying scene out." And McQueen said, "No, you need to keep that in because that's what makes the character human. I'm just saying I'm not the right guy for the part." And so how do you feel about Richard Dreyfuss in this role? Because it's an interesting line he's got to walk, right? Because he's so selfish in this film and almost irritating. And Richard Dreyfuss, he brings that energy to roles, right?
He does, doesn't he?
He's fast talking and like hyperactive in a way. And like I sort of swing between, I like this character and I dislike this character. And then I'm like, but maybe that's the intention.
I think so, yeah. I mean, I'd forgotten about the Steve McQueen thing. I'd heard about other actors that had either been pitched to Spielberg or that he had approached. The two that I remember are like Jack Nicholson and James Caan.
And Al Pacino, I believe.
Oh, and Al Pacino as well, yeah. But, I mean, this...
How'd I get the Devil's Tower?
Don't get me started. We could do that all morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dreyfuss, I think, really works. I think he's a good avatar, as you might say, for Spielberg. It's something that Spielberg does throughout his career as well. He finds actors that look similar to him in some ways, or that remind him of himself. I think in some ways, that's very evident in Ready Player One. You look at
oh my God, I had the same thought.
You look at Ty Sheridan, that it's like, and then you look at pictures of teenage Spielberg. It's like, wait a minute, wait, what now? Yeah, or even Shia LaBeouf in King with the Crystal Skull. He's a bit Spielberg, and Transformers is of course a Spielberg production. Who was it? Probably the most movie starish of them all is maybe Gabriel LaBelle in The Fabelmans. I mean, he looks a little bit like Spielberg, but he kind of looks like the idealized version of what teenage Steve imagined he was like, even if he is kind of a dork. But Dreyfuss, I think, resembles him in some way.
Yeah.
Not wanting to get too in the weeds with this, the sort of the Jewish aspect of it. I mean, they have that sort of, I guess, energy or way of expressing themselves. If you put interviews of Dreyfuss and Spielberg up against one another, I'm pretty sure they'd have sort of like similar speech patterns or similar mannerisms.
Yeah, it's also the intelligence as well. Like, his leading men are always fairly cerebral, like fairly smart and funny and self-deprecating.
Absolutely,
and I think that's where that sort of Jewish sense of humor comes into it as well. There is that kind of familiarity.
But I think having Dreyfuss is more of an everyman, even though he was, he's got a Best Actor Oscar to his name. He's been fairly successful throughout his career, but he is still more of an everyday guy than Pacino or Nicholson or McQueen especially. And that works because you don't want it to be. I think you want the movie to be about the experience, the whole experience, as opposed to being viewed through one person's eyes. It's like, oh well, I really identify with Steve McQueen here. It's like, but Steve McQueen's also going to save the day, or Nicholson's going to overcome this, or whatever. It's more like, here's this guy caught up in this, and we're going along for the ride. Yeah, I'd say Dreyfuss had a big career, but he was never like a huge A-list star, was he?
No. I mean, no. I think he's almost. You almost don't want a huge star for this, right?
No.
Like just under a star is good. Every man is good. Steve McQueen, like you say, it would be like casting Bruce Willis. In a modern context, is like, you're expecting him to be the hero. It changes the tone of the film. Is he going to punch an alien?
McQueen seems to be like the go-to for that. I mean, the William Friedkin movie Sorcerer, right? Yeah, I mean, McQueen was apparently like the lead, slated to be the lead in that. And it just throws the whole balance up because this movie is more about these four desperate guys who have to drive this nitroglycerin across this unstable terrain. And I was very, very fortunate to interview Friedkin when he came out to Australia to promote Sorcerer, and he was talking about, look, one of the mistakes I made was not holding on tighter to Steve McQueen because he had to have a close-up of him and it gets audiences in more. But no, having someone like Roy Scheider in the lead of Sorcerer just works better because, yeah, you can picture him as this everyman, low-level criminal who's ended up in this bad situation. Whereas with Scheider, you're watching the movie. With McQueen, you're watching McQueen.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sure.
but yeah, and that I think that applies as well to Close Encounters. Like you are watching Close Encounters. You're not watching a Richard Dreyfuss movie.
Yeah. I'm not a big special effects guy. Like, I appreciate them, but, I don't go in deep. But the one thing that is consistent through all these films is that he nails special effects almost better than any other director. Like he integrates them into the live action so well. This is a bit of trivia. So with these alien spaceships, generally what they used to do is they would do their visual effects. They'd shoot them on 35 and then they'd comp them. So lay them over each other. But because of that, you're degrading the special effects 35 mil celluloid. So when you place it on the live action celluloid, it doesn't have the same quality. Yeah. The groundbreaking thing they did in this film is they shot all the UFO sequences on 70 mil. So then when they shrunk it down to 35 mil, it didn't degrade lower than 35. So that's why they look so good. I mean, look, you can tell it's special effects by today's standards.
Of course, it's a movie from 1977.
Yeah, but at the time, this was groundbreaking that you couldn't see the outline of the special effects film that was being laid over. And it is something that I'm like, oh, this is why he was such a go-to blockbuster guy, because at the time when the technology was getting better and you had a director who is equally capable of doing drama, but also giving you spectacle, like he was only going to hit the jackpot going into the 80s.
Very much the case. Yeah. 77 is a real sort of inflection point for effects as well. I mean, as I said, with Star Wars and Close Encounters, but you look at a sci-fi movie that came out maybe a year or two before, you look at something like Logan's Run, for instance, which is a movie I really dig. The opening set that is like, welcome to the city of the future. It's like, there's a model.
Yeah. It's a matte painting. It
is a matte painting and a model. That's someone's train set.
Yeah.
So, you then look at something like Close Encounters, which, a lot of these effects are of their time, but some hold up technically. They all hold up in terms of like story integrity as well. Yeah, I mean,
there's some great B-roll you can find online of from the special features of the DVD. They had all these plans for the Devil's Tower moment when the aliens come out, and one of the plans was because they're all kids dressed like the aliens, and they had this idea that they wanted the aliens to move around like fast, like ants, like they're these little creatures and they move. And so what they did is they got the kids in the alien outfits to move their arms really quickly and stuff, and then they had French mime actors walking around playing like government officials and stuff who were walking very slow, so that when they speeded the footage up, the aliens would be super fast and then the humans should be... But then you watch it and it's like, it does not work. And you can just imagine they probably burnt like a week's worth of production just like trying to get this thing done. And like, there'd be nothing worse than getting into the editing suite and going, oh my God, this does not work. Fuck. How are we going to save this film? What are we going to do?
You can send the mimes home. I think the other thing that really works about Close Encounters and makes it a really interesting companion piece, I guess, to E.T. is just that very, very human aspect of it.
Yeah.
I mean, rewatching E.T. last night and then watching the special features about it, Spielberg says, I actually had two stories in mind. I had a story about an alien trapped on Earth or something like that. But I also I wanted to make a movie about divorce and the effect of divorce on families. And I was developing these two separate projects, and then I realized I can fold these into each other. And I mean, we talked about the Fablemans a little while ago and how that's kind of ground zero for the Spielberg mythology. It gives you an indication of how he started professionally by watching. I think it was The Greatest Story Ever Told. That movie, the one with the
Bible.
Yeah. Oh, the one. Sorry. The Greatest Show on Earth.
All right.
Is it the circus movie?
I'm not sure.
But he watches a movie and it's got a train crash in it, and he's like, wow, how did they do that? And he's feverishly trying to sort of recreate that in the basement with his dad's train set or something. But also, just the rocky familial relationship, the divorce of his parents, the arguments that he would have with his younger sisters and all that. That comes through in so much stuff. Yeah, the family dynamics in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It feels, it gives it a real impact beyond aliens maybe coming to visit us. They may want to take some of us away. We're going to unlock the secrets of the universe and all that. I think what really connects you to the movie is like, Dad's going out of his mind, or my son has been abducted and no one believes me. That's the stuff that really hits home, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned E.T. Let's move now into the 80s, 5 years later.
Yeah.
So if it's weird, right? It's only a 5 year time difference, but the way the decades are represented by both films is so. I mean, I said that it's hard to watch Close Encounters without acknowledging the cultural impact it had. Well, get ready.
Oh, God, yeah.
Like E.T., if you weren't around in the 80s and you have no idea, but E.T. was everywhere. It was massive.
I get the feeling we're going to be saying a lot, you can't underestimate the impact of these certain movies. And, even ones that we're not talking about. I mean, Jurassic Park just sort of
changed
everything. Yeah, and really owned 93 and onwards for a while. But, 1982 and E.T. I mean, among film geeks, but anyone who sort of knows anything about movies, 1982 is regarded as this watershed year. Certainly the year that changed everything for quote-unquote nerd cinema. There are so many titles that came out that American summer that are like, oh, wow, that are still regarded as classics to this day. And, some that weren't even appreciated in their time, like Blade Runner and John Carpenter's The Thing. Yeah. But E.T. was just it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now, I saw E.T. at a drive-in in 1982 when I was 5 years old, or maybe hadn't even just turned 5, and I remember being terrified. Did not find E.T. adorable or likable or anything.
You mean the movie or the character?
The everything about it, because it had it sets up like a spooky, kind of like a mystery.
Oh, yeah.
And then when I saw him, he was different enough for my 4 to 5 year old brain to be repulsed by this. I remember the scene where he meets Drew Barrymore for the first time. His neck extends.
That's right.
And that freaked me the fuck out. So I hadn't actually gone back and rewatched. We also had the soundtrack on vinyl, and I remember listening to that. And that's the other thing you cannot talk about Spielberg without
talking about John
Williams, right?
Exactly.
Do you ever watch Epic Rap Battles of History? That YouTube channel. Great YouTube channel, and they'll pit two sometimes fictional, sometimes real life figures against each other. So they have Steven Spielberg having a rap battle against Alfred Hitchcock, and one of the disses Alfred Hitchcock says is, "You'd be nothing without John Williams," and so much of it is true because you can close your eyes and listen to the E.T. soundtrack, and it's almost like it tells you what the film is.
It really does.
You get a sense of even if you don't know the exact plot points, you get the emotion of it.
Yeah, I wasn't about to say that Williams is doing a lot of the heavy lifting in E.T., but rewatching it last night, it's like, this is very music reliant is the wrong term, but the music is adding so much.
Yeah, and look, I was most shocked by how underwhelmed I was when I watched E.T. because, like I said, the cultural impact. This is like the thriller, of movies.
Course, yeah.
It was so huge, and it's so burnt into our memories. But then when I was watching it, I was like, oh, geez, the plot is really, really thin.
I honestly found that with Close Encounters as well, to some degree. It's like, there's not a lot happening here. This is like maybe 5 or 6 big sequences.
Well, the thing about Close Encounters is you expect at some point all the stories to intersect. Like if it was a Paul Thomas Anderson movie or Robert Altman or something, all these stories will interconnect and it all makes sense. But Spielberg's like, I guess, Melinda Dillon and Dreyfus can meet up, but that's about it. Like everyone's on their own journey. But then with E.T., it's an even smaller kind of story. And look, it's a kid's film. That's the thing that it's like people who go back and complain about Star Wars being chintzy. It's like, it's a kid's film.
Yeah.
Like, it's made for kids.
Yeah, E.T. feels very much that way. And again, Spielberg, he was of a mind, it's like, I don't expect this to hit. This is fairly unusual and it's very personal. And I don't expect everyone to get it. But, he had faith in it. And I think when he was in the editing bay, he looked at it and goes, no, I've actually made a good movie here. Whether other people think so, I don't know.
There must have been times on set, though, where you've got that, like you've got some puppeteer in that E.T. outfit where like the producers, I'm sure, must have visited set and gone, like, this guy's, like, he's done it twice, but I think this is the one where we're going to take a bath.
It was fortunate in that, this is coming in the wake of Raiders as opposed to 1941. Because, here's the Spielberg body of work. You've got Jaws and Close Encounters, both massive hits. Spielberg can write his own ticket. When he writes his own ticket, he makes 1941, this World War II comedy that is just a notorious flop. And I think a lot of people were saying, does this guy actually have the juice? Luckily, he comes back with Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is it's probably my favorite Spielberg movie. I think
one
it's
of
just
the greatest films of all time.
it's just incredibly entertaining. So, but at the same, I can see where you're coming from, and like, yeah, the studio heads might have been looking, going, "Really, this?"
Well, it's just because it's so goofy. Like you just wouldn't, because that's where the Williams sort of comes into it a bit, right? Because it's like the amount of emotion that is wrung out of every frame of this film. Even if you are a cynic, like a middle-aged cynic like I am now, you cannot help but go, this works.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the alien, the child actors are adorable. The alien is cute. The music is inspiring. So all these elements work. But when you were on set and you got, Drew Barrymore, who's probably like, you're having to coach to kind of like say the two lines she needs to, and you've got this alien puppet that's not quite working. And like, the confidence or the focus that Spielberg must have had to go, no, okay, I can still see the vision I'm wanting to do for this.
And I can convince everyone around me that this is, I can convince my DP. And
I mean, getting those actors to interact with that rubber puppet, because it does look like, especially by today's standards, like pretty ropey at times.
On occasions, yeah. But I mean, I was really also taken with the tactile quality of the E.T. puppet.
Did it bother you that E.T.'s head pulses? It really made me feel a bit sick. There's some shots over E.T.'s shoulder where you see his like cranium pulsing, and I'm like, ugh, what the hell? Kill it!
Did someone... Spielberg really went full court press with the publicity for Disclosure Day, and I had a lot of people who had never interviewed him before sort of coming in and asking questions, and I think maybe people of our generation might sort of bend the knee a bit if we had time with Spielberg.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think a lot of these kids were kind of like, I'm going to ask him just random questions, either to go viral or just for the hell of it. And someone, I think, asked, is E.T. dry or slimy?
Oh my God, it's true, because there's some shots where he really glistens.
I've forgotten the answer. I don't know if Spielberg, I think he was a little taken aback by the question. But you're right. Watching it last night and watching it with the subtitles on because I'm old, something's very astute, I guess, in the subtitling, and I'm guessing that Spielberg or the production company had something to do with this. Whenever E.T. is making noises, they refer to it as purring. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And because he is sort of doing a bit of... And it would be a way that you would sort of soothe children, perhaps.
Yeah.
You mentioned the child actors before. I mean, I was on the record of saying, like, Henry Thomas is gives one of the best child acting performances ever.
Yeah.
This is before I rewatched AI. We're going to have to go very deep on Haley Joel Osment because that's incredible. But yeah, Henry Thomas, Drew Barrymore, and Robert McNaughton as well, I think gets sort of shortchanged. I was really taken with him as Michael, the older brother.
Yeah.
Because he didn't become...
C. Thomas Howell?
Yeah.
A pre-soul man, C. Thomas Howell.
An actor I never really have taken to.
No.
Despite him being in Soul Man, but he's okay in this.
Yeah. How's that opening shot, though, where you meet all the kids at the table and one of them smoking? Like,
I was looking at this going...
1982.
Yes. One of these teenage kids smoking at the table.
And Mum's home, by the way.
Also, I think C. Thomas Howell tries to reach out and grope Dee Wallace's butt.
He does.
And Michael's, her son's like, don't.
Yeah. Just
like,
some lazy sexual harassment.
What the hell is going on? 1982 was a different time.
Yeah.
Sorry, we've gotten a little bit in the weeds here, but let's see. Yeah, the kid actors are fantastic in it as well. They interact with the E.T. puppets so well. But yeah, there's all manner of things going on. It's kind of spooky. This has more wonder than I won't say it has more wonder than Close Encounters. It's got maybe an equal amount.
It's probably what it is. I think it's more of a magical tone to it. Like Aliens. They gets away from the science of the science fiction. And it just becomes like E.T. can heal things. He can speak telepathically. There is this kind of more magical quality. Like I still can't understand how E.T. can make things fly. Like, is that telekinesis? Is that some carry shit going on?
I guess it must be. Yeah.
Don't pour a bucket of blood on E.T. Things will go haywire.
The kids seem to grasp astronomy fairly quickly as well, because Elliot is pointing out, okay, we're here, this is Earth and this is us, and then E.T. sort of gets
the balls fly.
The little balls of plasticine fly around. It's like, oh, this represents my galaxy or my solar system, or whatever. The kids are like, yeah, okay, oh, so you're from there, okay, great. So I'll be like, You're making shit float. What's going on here?
Kill it. The amount of times I would have yelled "kill it" if I was in the ET world.
There's some viral tweet that says, all these kids who say they'd be friends with ET, my friends and I would have killed it with hammers. Like, yeah, that's so cruel. But, you get the feeling that, I don't know, there might have been some suburban kids who do that. Speaking of the suburbs.
Yes. I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the best advertisement for like the American suburbs, I think. It makes it look like a place that feels very safe and very homey, but also kind of magical.
Is it the same street as Poltergeist?
I was thinking that so much.
Because it's not only the street, but also like the knock on Toby Hooper was always like, come on, man, like Spielberg directed Poltergeist, didn't he? And this does not, watching these two films back to back does not dissuade me from thinking Spielberg had a pretty heavy hand in Poltergeist.
Would have had a big say, yeah.
But then some sequences just feel like Poltergeist.
Absolutely. But yeah, there are also moments in Poltergeist that feel 100% Toby Hooper. So, I don't know, maybe it was a nice collaboration between those two. But yeah, this makes... This, again, I'm going to use the word source code a lot in this.
Yeah.
But, you look at something like Stranger Things and it's clear that the Duffer Brothers just watched E.T. so much growing up because, this makes, the suburbs feel like a very familiar place, but also a place of, great mystery where things are going on behind every door and, an alien could be hiding out. You never can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else to talk about with E.T.? I mean, you're right. It's so embedded in popular culture that it's almost hard to watch it as a movie unto itself.
Yes. I would imagine...
Not hard in like, oh, this is a grind or this is as much fun as I thought it was. I think it still works, terrifically.
Yeah, definitely. I would be interested to know, like, just another example of, wow, kids' entertainment in the 80s was a lot more confronting. Like the fact that it's such a explicit death scene for E. Like his skin goes white, he's dead on the slab. Like it is, Elliot's right there to watch the light go out in his eyes. Like it is pretty intense. Like my daughter, who's 6, and I can't even get her to watch Toy Story because she finds the bickering too intense.
Oh my gosh.
Like there's no way I could show her E.T. Like it would traumatize her. So I don't know if we're just like a tougher breed, us Gen Xers, to watch our favorite like children's characters die on screen. But there is just some like elements of that, which I think is really, for all the chintzy, cheesy, sentimental elements of E.T., of which there are plenty, it's stuff like that that makes me go, that's a bold choice.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm sure there would have been a lot of discussions about, do we want to show the alien dying? Like, can that happen off screen? But I think Spielberg is like, no, because Elliot has to go through this journey. Elliot is becoming a man. Like he's, estranged from his father, his mother, he's lonely. He doesn't really get on with his siblings particularly well. This is the best friend he has. And if we're really going to earn that, because the levitation bike sequence, which is so iconic now, like it's literally Amblin's logo.
It is, yeah.
The only reason I think you can accept that is because you're still bawling from seeing E.T. die. Like,
there's legitimate emotional grounding.
Yes.
Yeah, whether it's in those scenes.
But it's also the release. Like you've just been bawling your eyes out and now you get to cheer.
Now you get the uplift.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've had the tension, now you get the release. Yeah. And honestly, those closing moments of E.T., I'd put them up against any, sort of mass market entertainment since in the history of cinema. In all honesty, I mean, the final shot of I'm almost half welling up thinking about it now, but I mean, the final shot of Henry Thomas's face, looking as as the spaceship goes off, he knows exactly when to cut. You cut to the end. And it's like, but there's a beautiful look on the kid's face. It's like, yeah, you're right. We've really earned this ending. We've really earned this moment of catharsis. Yeah, and you're right because we've had those moments of like, E.T. is in great peril. Elliot is in great emotional turmoil. And even before that, just the day-to-day life of the house. I mean, Dee Wallace's character is sad and lonely. Yeah. And she's trying hard to sort of keep it together for the kids, and the kids are often insensitive. The house in E.T. is just as beautifully cluttered and lived in as the Close Encounters house as well. It's very real. It's a very real movie with this very heightened element that comes into it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of scenes too. Like I know I've sort of been knocking the rubber puppet, but there's a fair few scenes where it's just E.T. Like, discovering the house, getting drunk, whatever. And like that kind of stuff, like it takes a real skilled filmmaker to enable you to sit with that and go, I know what I'm watching isn't real. I know this
Yeah.
thing is just like a midget in a, in a rubber costume or however they did it. But you go along for the ride. And I think that's, that's the secret sauce to Spielberg is the suspension of disbelief, because he makes you go, okay, like I know this isn't real, but the emotion is so strong, and humor, like he does a fair amount of humor amongst all those things.
I think he gives you enough to believe in before you get stuff that you would possibly disbelieve.
You get to know the family, like you say, the sad situation of that. So then when he brings this stuff,
this is all very recognizable, very relatable, and then all of a sudden you're in very heightened circumstances. Like, okay, well, I'm going to go along for the ride.
Yeah. What about Peter Coyote? Is it Coyote or Coyote?
Coyote,
I
think.
yeah.
I love that guy.
So good.
Yeah,
So
I like him
good.
in this. He doesn't have a lot to do in it, but
that's what I was wondering. Like when he got sent this script, and it's like I've got virtually no dialogue. I'm in silhouette for the first,
well, it's my bottom half.
Yeah, or my keys.
Yeah.
my jangling keys. But he's so good, and I also think that like I wonder, is it just me? Or do they hint at some romance between him and Dee Wallace? Like, is it just me? Or is that me just longing for her to be happy?
It's a bit of both, I think. But yeah, watching it last night, the final scene where E.T.'s ship comes back, picks him up, they go back off into outer space. You would be forgiven for thinking that everyone is looking at the ship like, I have never seen anything like this before. This is a once in a lifetime, occurrence. Everyone's doing the Spielberg face, right? Peter Coyote's looking at Dee Wallace.
Yeah.
He's like, you okay?
You single?
Yeah. What are you doing after this?
Is there Mrs. E.T.? I mean, sorry, I know your name.
So your husband's in Mexico, you say?
It's also too like I was, that always that joke of, oh, when will they say the title of the film in the film? And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, how are they going to get to E.T.? How would these kids even know what an extraterrestrial is? But they do. They just drop it in and you just accept it. Oh, he's E.T.
Yeah.
And he's E.T. from then on.
Well, you see Elliot drawing a picture that's of E.T. with E.T. written on it. Yeah. Who says extraterrestrial before that? Is it one of like...
I think it's Elliot, doesn't he?
Does he?
Oh, now you make me...
Because they're always saying, oh, it's a goblin
Elise,
or it's a leprechaun.
If you're there, Elise, can you Google who actually...
Elise is like,
who comes up
I
with,
checked out from these two nerds
Yes, no,
20 minutes
wait,
ago.
1 second.
Who came up with the... I think it's Elliot. I thought it was when... Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, we was talking about happy coincidences. There are no happy coincidences. Everything is a creative decision that's been made and thought out. I mean, it's no coincidence that E.T. and Elliot sound so
But it's more the
similar.
way that it happens. It was like, oh, it felt organic. I was waiting for for the whole film to abruptly stop, as they say, and we call him E.T. the extraterrestrial. But it never happens. It just like subtly weaves in, and it's just accepted that he's E.T. from then on.
I had a feeling that like one of the cool teens on their BMX said, "Oh, it was an extraterrestrial." No, I think it might be Elliot who says that at the bus stop.
Yes.
He goes, "It's not a goblin, or it's not.
It's an extraterrestrial."
Or maybe he says it's a spaceman or something.
I can't remember.
I don't remember. I do remember though that future Baywatch babe Erica Eleniak is I was about to say the object of Elliot's affection. It's the other way around. She's always trying to get Elliot's attention.
Yeah, right.
She's like, "Hi,
staring
Elliot."
at him while he's at class. And stuff.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm just fixated on my new spaceman buddy."
It's an adorable moment though when they have their big Hollywood pash, and he has to stand on a kid because he's not quite tall enough.
And true, and it's also the I won't say he's a bully, but the little kid who didn't want to give up his frog. You know, when Elliot's liberating all the frogs during the science experiment. By the way, their science teacher,
Who?
Harrison Ford.
Is it?
It is.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if he's doing the voice.
Because he was dating Melissa Matheson.
He might have been married to screenwriter Melissa Matheson at the time.
Right.
Yeah,
that
but apparently
makes
that
sense.
is Harrison Ford. Now, whether he's doing the voice...
And is it
I don't
John
know.
Landis as one of the doctors at the end?
It looks like him, but I don't think it is.
Okay, right. I was going to say.
Charlie,
because-
if you want to add an addendum, and I'll cut my voice out because I don't have a proper mic or anything, but it's
Yeah.
Elliot. He says, "You're an extraterrestrial, right?" And decides, this is in the book,
Yeah.
not in the
the novelisation?
movie.
Yes.
Yeah, in the novelisation, he says, "You're an extraterrestrial, right?" And decides, "We'll market E.T. for extraterrestrial."
Okay, so...
But not in the actual film.
So Elise has just referred to the novelisation in which Elliot says he's an extraterrestrial and then names him E.T. But I'm pretty sure you're right. I think it's the bus scene. I think it's when all his brother's mates are giving him shit.
Yeah.
I think it's on the bus scene that he calls him E.T. Anyway, the point being, it's done perfectly, and you accept it.
Yeah.
And it's also amazing that, because this was the highest grossing film of all time at one stage, I think, until the prequels came out. Was that right? Or Jurassic Park? One of the...
It held the title for so many years.
The fact that they never did a sequel is amazing.
Yeah, apparently, I watched a little of the behind the scenes stuff after watching watching it at home last night, and yeah, Universal, which apparently picked this up. By the way, I think this initially had its first home at Columbia, where he made Close Encounters, and they're like, "Yeah, we're not feeling it.
Yeah.
We don't quite get this.
This will never work."
No, so he went to Universal, and that's sort of been his spiritual home ever since. Yeah, they saw that this was just the sensation that it was. It's like, well, we should make another one of these. And Spielberg, he knows how to play ball. He said, okay, look, I'm going to take a couple of months and I'll try to work something out. And he came up with various ideas. Like, it doesn't play. This ended perfectly. It ended the way it had to end.
Yes.
And he's right. I mean, I think there are so many movies from this era that we regard as kind of classics or pivotal, pieces of the genre that shouldn't be remade or retackled. I mean, what is it? Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale have always said, no Back to the Future reboots.
Until we die.
Yeah, until we die. After that, do what you like.
Just there, just pushing them downstairs.
Why you got those masks on? This COVID thing, it's nothing. Yeah, and I think E.T. I mean, can you imagine like an E.T. remake
It would
or
be
a sequel?
terrible.
It would be awful.
It couldn't work. And also the world's moved on. Like, we're not as wide-eyed and as idealistic as we used to be. And
Well,
so it couldn't be the same.
Yeah, I think, and we'll talk about it, I think, when we talk about Disclosure Day.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
But what else can we say about E.T.? There's so much. I mean, there's a lot to say, but there's also a lot that seems like everybody knows.
Okay, let's see. I did write down these are some quick notes. Why does E.T. bother walking anywhere when he can fly? In the 80s, we had no issue assigning magic powers to science-based fiction. I'm thinking also of films like Electric Dreams. Back then it's like computers are magical. If we don't understand it, it's magic.
You spill a little champagne in your PC and all of a sudden it's...
It's got magic powers.
Yeah.
That was the weird obsession with that. Does this stand up for kids today? That was my other question. Is like, I wonder if you showed this to a child, whether they would find it. Because, I mean, you think about it, 40 years old? It would be the equivalent of us watching something from like the 40s.
That's right, yeah.
It just seems so out there. Creature from the Black Lagoon or something with a rubber suit.
But you mentioned Casablanca earlier, and I mean, I rewatch that maybe once a year, and that just still works as far as... I mean, of course, it's a movie of its time, but then, to quote Casablanca, the fundamental things apply, right?
Yeah.
And I think that works with E.T. as well. I mean, this is very much a story about a boy and his best friend.
Yeah. And I'd say in the context of this series, next episode we'll be talking about AI and Minority Report, this is probably, E.T. marks, I'd say, like the high point of Spielberg in this genre.
This is when Spielberg becomes Spielberg
Yes.
as well. Yeah, I mean, he's only like a handful of feature films into his career.
Yeah.
But after this, he could do no wrong. Even sort of prior to this, he could do no wrong.
Yeah.
You mentioned the podcast that I do with Leonard Maltin. We talked about Spielberg not long ago, and I mentioned on that the summer that this came out, the summer of '82, summer in the US, Time magazine did a cover story on Spielberg, which is like, Hollywood's new wunderkind, that kind of thing, and because he had E.T. and Poltergeist coming out. And I don't know if everyone was like, oh, E.T., we can't wait. But this, to me at least, was kind of pivotal in like, oh, this movie might be something that, I think the reporter who had a lot of time with Spielberg had also seen like a rough cut and going, this is the movie that everyone's going to be talking about, not just this year, but for years and years and years to come. And I was just so fascinated by this story and by Spielberg himself. He started to develop a real interesting cult of personality around himself, even if he feels kind of vanilla compared to guys like Scorsese or Coppola or Brian De Palma. These guys have larger-than-life personalities and also very adult. Spielberg, I think, was clever in creating the persona of not the kid, maybe the smartest kid. Childlike wonder combined with incredible technical virtuosity.
Yes.
And a little something deeper under the surface that occasionally sort of bobs up to the surface.
Yeah. You mentioned the thing earlier, and it's interesting, right? Like, they came out at the same time, and they are two completely different visions of first contact. And it's interesting because I wonder, Like, I feel like the way the world has gone in the last 40 years, The Thing is probably the film that people would identify more
Absolutely,
with now.
yeah.
So don't give us your friggin' fairy stories. This is what the world's like. It's going to mutate and kill all of us. Okay, so that is episode 1 of our Spielberg special, done and dusted. Next week, we'll be talking about AI, artificial intelligence, and Minority Report. Guy, you mentioned you do a podcast with Leonard Maltin. What else have
Did
you
I
got to
do
promote?
that? Golly, yeah. If you're interested in hearing a bit more from me, you could tune into the Four Finger Discount Network, where co-host Brendan Dando and I talk about The Simpsons, South Park, Seinfeld, King of the Hill, all manner of wonderful 90s ephemera. There's also The Movie Guide with Maltin and Davis, where Leonard Maltin of Entertainment Tonight fame and he does a lot of talking and I basically nod along and say, that's correct, Leonard. You sure nailed that one. So, yeah, by all means, check those out.
Links in the show notes. We'll be back again next week. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Guy Davis.